Hello and welcome to Precon Decon, the video series where I deconstruct the pre-constructed decks of Magic the Gathering's history. In this video we're going to keep looking at Avacyn Restored and we're going to look at Slaughterhouse, which is a black and red deck. So let's look at the deck list. So we've got 25 creatures, 6 sorceries, 2 instants, 1 artifact, 1 enchantment and 25 land. We've got a mana curve off to the side there. Let's start looking at the contents of the deck. So, what's the theme of the deck? The theme of the deck is basically stuff dying. Either sacrificing your own stuff to get benefits, or getting benefits when other creatures die. Yeah, it's just this deck wants to keep killing things, which is which is lucky actually because it's in black red, which is it happens to be the color combination that's really good at killing things. So it all works out well. So one of the rares in the deck is Demon Lord of Ashmouth. So 2 and 2 black for a 5/4. Has flying. When it enters the battlefield, you have to exile it unless you sacrifice another creature, and has undying. So 4 mana for a 5/4 flyer is obviously pretty good. Obviously you have to sacrifice a creature as well, which is you've got a bunch of creatures in the deck. It's fine. You got a bunch of creatures that don't mind being killed either. So yeah, this works out, and it's got undying, so it comes back stronger. So yeah, so actually that's actually interesting that Undying was the one mechanic that Avacyn Restored kept from all the previous sets because it was kind of using its own mechanics as well. So I had completely forgotten it used Undying, so there we go. But yeah, I think this is fairly solid, honestly. Yeah, it's just a big demon, just a big old demon, and it becomes you have to kill it twice, and second time it's stronger. So yeah, perfect. I think just pretty solid. So the foil face rare is Harvester of Souls. It's really nice actually because there was in green there was Soul of the Harvest, so they were like a mirrored pair, which gave you different benefits for whenever around creatures. Anyway, Harvester of Souls is 4 and 2 black for a 5/5 with Death Touch. When you start having 5 power, Death Touch becomes a little redundant, I feel, but it's still appreciated. Whenever another non-token creature dies, you may draw a card. Really, really strong effect, especially since you've got so many things in the deck that care about either sacrificing themselves or you've got like quite a lot of removal. So yeah, this comes down. You're going to be drawing, I think, a lot of cards, sort of very quickly. So yeah, really, really good foil face rare. I think really, really like it. A single Blood Artist, so 1 and black for a 0/1. Whenever Blood Artist or another creature dies, target player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life, so again, cares about stuff dying. This is kind of like a smaller version of Falcon Wrath Noble from original Innistrad, so original Innistrad from like the first set in the block. So yeah, this is fine. I do kind of wish there'd been maybe more than one, but it's fine. It's pretty good. And at the time, I remember it going for quite a lot of money. I'm not sure how much it goes for these days, but back in the day, it was pretty expensive to get your hands on a playset of them. A single Bloodflow Connoisseur, so 2 and a black for a 1/1. Sacrifice creature, put a +1/+1 counter on Bloodflow Connoisseur. So of all the kind of like, I guess, aristocrat creatures that sacrifice other creatures to get a power toughness boost, I prefer them when they get permanent +1/+1 counters rather than like the bigger but temporary buff, I suppose, because then I guess it's they they last longer, I suppose. Isn't it? Like you're not so reliant on having to keep feeding them to make them useful. Like you feed them a couple of times and they become a decently sized, and it's fine, I suppose. I hope you get what I mean. But yeah, I think this is okay, and it's an effect the deck wants. It's a free sacrifice outlet. Get some creature deaths. All your other stuff pops off. So yeah, this is pretty good. 2 Demonic Taskmaster, 2 and a black. Also technically another free sacrifice outlet, I suppose. So 3 mana for a 4/3 flyer is obviously pretty good. But at the beginning of your upkeep, you have to sacrifice a creature other than Demonic Taskmaster. So you have to keep feeding him to keep him around. You can't sacrifice it to itself. It's not like a May as well. It's not like if you don't, you get rid of the Demonic Taskmaster. Like nope, you are stuck with it until it dies, which is I think very flavorful, obviously. Yeah, it's okay. I would. This is the thing, like, because you don't want to play it too early, because, like, well, actually, early on, then you don't have to sacrifice anything, so you would actually be all right. Maybe just keeping this as your single creature, I suppose that'd be okay, maybe. But yeah, it's okay. Obviously, just super aggressively costed. A single Havengul Vampire, so 3 in a red for a 2/2. When it deals combat damage for play, it gets a +1/+1 counter. Whenever a creature dies, it gets a +1/+1 counter. So this reminds me of the scavenger creatures all the way back in Shards of Alara, like in the Jund Shard, whenever they got +1/+1 counters for something dying. This is basically those, except it's got the red vampire thing of when it deals damage to a player, it gets +1/+1 counter. So I think this thing can get pretty big and pretty scary. So yeah, a pretty good inclusion in the deck, I think. A single Driver of the Dead, so 3 in a black for a 3/2. When it dies, return a creature card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So this is okay, get a small creature back. There's a few in the deck, so this is alright. This is something you kind of want to die. It's 3/2 as well, so you can sort of swing with it. It's it's obviously you're meant to be attacking with it, and yeah, get a free reanimation, so it's something that can then die again, I suppose. Yeah, this is okay. I like this. A single Gang of Devils, so 5 in a red for a 3/3, so really expensive actually. And when it dies, it does basically Arc Lightning, 3 damage, divided as you choose amongst 1, 2, or 3 targets. I do feel this is too expensive for what it does. There's from the previous sets you had Pitchburn Devils, which were I think 5 mana, and they were a 3/3. I suppose in retrospect maybe this is 1 extra mana to spread the damage out. Yeah, I guess it's okay. Yeah, I do feel it's a bit too expensive though, but it's okay, I suppose. That ability on death is okay. A single Malfeld Twins, so 5 in a black. A lot of really expensive creatures in this deck, actually. So 5 in the black for a 4/4. When it dies, you make 2 zombie tokens, which is pretty fun. Yeah, this is again perfect. It's something you want to sacrifice, and then it makes more things to sacrifice, which is perfect. It replaces itself, which is 100% what the deck wants to be doing. 3 Butcher Ghouls, on the subject of sacrificing things. So 1 in a black for a 1/1 with Undying. So this is Young Wolf. This is not, because Young Wolf was only 1 green. This is and it was exact card. It was 1/1 with Undying. So you got to pay 1 extra to have that in black apparently. But it's still okay, because I think Avacyn Restored was maybe a slightly slower set. Maybe I can't remember. I don't know enough about how fast the meta was, but yeah, this is okay. Obviously it's a creature you can sacrifice twice, can't you? Because you sacrifice it once, comes back with a +1/+1 counter, and it's there, and then you can sacrifice again to one of your other effects. So having 3 of these is actually really nice. We've got 2 Evernight Shades, so 3 in a black for a 1/1. It's a shade, so you spend black mana to give it +1/+1 to end turn, and it's got Undying as well, so again makes it good sort of sacrifice fodder. And 2 Reassembling Skeletons, the absolute goat of sacrifice fodder. So 1 in a black for a 1/1, and you can pay 1 in a black to return it from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So yep, this is what you can just keep constantly bringing back for to meet all your various like sacrifice effects, and it dies, which triggers all your stuff that cares about when things die. It comes back. Yeah, it's really good. Really, like there's two of them in here as well. So like a fairly good range of good sacrifice fodder in the deck, I suppose. Yeah, so we've got 2 Goblin Arsonists as well, so 1 red mana from 1/1. When it dies, you have it deal 1 damage to target creature or player. So yep, this is also something that wants to die, and you don't mind it dying. 3 Soul Cage Fiends, 1 and 2 black for a 3/2. When it dies, each player loses 3 life, which is like kind of sucks. It's symmetrical, but like it is like a fairly big life loss, so it has to be fair, I suppose. So yeah, but again, you've got so many sacrifice effects, so you can pop this off really whenever you need it to. You're playing fairly aggressively anyway, so 3 life loss is going to matter more to your opponent than to you. So yeah, I think this is pretty good. And then randomly 1 Hunted Ghoul, 1 black mana for just a 1/2 that can't block humans. Just super random inclusion to have this in here. Literally, I think almost anything else would have been better, but it's fine. At least it's sacrifice fodder. You can drop it turn 1, and then it's something to sacrifice, I suppose. But yeah, such a weird inclusion, just a single one of them. And then 2 Raging Poltergeists, so 4 and a red for just a 6/1. Just straight up a 6/1. I don't like creatures like this because they're so fragile. It's like I feel like there's just no point having a power this high when 1 point of damage kills them. And I know you could say like, oh well, he can like punch up, he could block something with like a really high toughness and stuff, but I just don't like them. these sort of creatures always feel really, really fragile to me, and I guess I just don't have like great luck playing with them because they always just feel. Yeah, you get kind of like one use out of them essentially, don't you? It's essentially just a very dirtly way of doing 6 damage to a creature that you can't even choose what it does damage to, I suppose. I don't know, going on about it. But at least it'll die, which is what the deck wants to do, I suppose. So then moving on to non-creature spells. So we've got 2 Barter in Blood. Really like this. This got a reprint because this was originally in original Mirrodin. I really like this art with Sorin. It's super good. So 2 and 2 black. Each player sacrifices 2 creatures, which is exactly what so many of your, like, even if you're playing just like a 2-player game, that's 4 creatures dying. And if you've got something like Harvester of Souls or the Havengul Vampire, or Blood Artist, like, you're going to be getting so much value out of this. So yeah, really, really good. 2 Bone Splinters, 1 black mana, has additional cost to cast it. You have to sacrifice a creature and destroy target creature. So yeah, this is fine as well. Again, you've got so many good sacrifice fodder for it. And just 1 black mana just to destroy a creature is with no restrictions is pretty solid, I think. We've got 2 Grave Exchange, so 4 and 2 black. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Target player sacrifice a creature. This is so expensive. I have no idea why it is so expensive. Because it's just a Raise Dead and an Edict effect, like in a single card. So yeah, like Raise Dead is like 1 black mana. And an Edict is usually like 2, so I have no idea why this is 6 mana. This is so expensive, and it's such like a small effect. I could understand if it was like a creature card from your graveyard straight back into play, and then target player sacrifices a creature. But yeah, this is so expensive. Really not a fan of it. A single Unhallowed Pact, 2 and a black. For an aura, goes on a creature. When it dies, it just comes back to the battlefield under your control. So this is really nice. You can put this on an opponent's creature, do something like Barter in Blood or just Bone Splints, anything like that, and then you get it, which is nice. So it's a nice, I like way that black usually does kind of like mind control effects, I suppose. It's essentially like a reanimation spell, isn't it? Yeah, I like this. This is nice in this deck. Or even you can put it on one of your own creatures that you want to sort of like keep safe from dying. So yeah, I think that's solid. 2 flings, 1 and a red. Instant as additional cost to cast it. You have to sacrifice a creature. Oh, what a surprise! There's a theme, Did we mention there's a theme of black-red sacrifice? We never see that. It does damage equal to sacrifice creature's power to creature player. So yeah, this is usually just to sort of close out a game, isn't it? You just fling like a really big creature at your opponent and sort of like finish them off with the last bits of damage. Yep. Really weird about fling actually, because it was an M12, but it was also in Dark Ascension. So I use the M12 art here because the Avacyn Restored decks don't use cards from Innistrad Dark Ascension, so I presumed that this deck, as packaged, would use the M12 fling. So yeah, I don't know. If anyone actually had this deck, please let me know if it used the M12 fling or the Dark Ascension fling. I'd be really interested in that. But yeah, I have no idea why they sort of do that. I suppose it's just to for limited and stuff, I suppose. But anyway, getting distracted by fling. And then to finish off, just a single Scroll of Gristlebrand. So 1 mana artifact, you can pay 1 and sacrifice it to make an opponent discard a card. If you control a demon, which you do actually, there's a surprising amount of demons in the deck, that player also loses 3 life. So one mana to make someone discard and lose 3 life is fairly solid, I think. So yeah, I think this is just fine. Like even if you don't have a demon, just I say making someone discard just for 1 mana is perfectly fine, I think. And then 13 swamps and 12 mountains. So, what could have been? So I do think the card selection here is okay. There's obviously some not great choices like the Hunted Ghoul or like the was it Grave Exchange? Yeah, they're obviously not wonderful, but yeah, I think the bulk of it is fairly solid. It's a fairly, because going into this, like I didn't really know much about the Avacyn Restored decks other than Bound by Strength because that was the one I actually bought. But yeah, because Avacyn Restored like pushed like white so much because it was white was in ascendancy, like all the angels were coming back. I presumed the decks with black in them weren't very good. So I went into this one being like, oh, it's not going to be very good at all because like I remember black being pretty bad in Avacyn Restored as a set, but this is actually I think fairly solid. as a deck, and I think it's done like a good job with the card pool available to it to make like a fairly solid, I think, black red sort of sacrifice death matters deck. So alternate rares maybe. So I do like Harvester of Souls. I think is really really solid. I thought maybe instead of the Ashmouth Demon, Hound of Gristlebrand instead maybe. So it's 2 and 2 red for a 2/2 with double strike and undying. So just like a really solid like attacker, just really difficult to deal with. Just again, it's got undying, so you can sacrifice it, it comes back stronger, and then it's the 3/3 with double strike, which is like a bit of a nightmare to deal with. So that could have been okay. Thatcher Revolt. So this I think really should have been in here because it makes 3 tokens, which then you got a bunch of sacrifice fodder, and then they die end of turn anyway. So again, so if you can't sacrifice some other effects, they die for the end of turn anyway, and they've got haste, so you can just swing with them as well, and they could die in combat. And then that helps all your death triggers as well. Like even just one of these, I think would have been all right. I know it's kind of in the deck we looked at last time, Fiery Dawn, but yeah, I think just one it would have helped. I think the deck strategy a lot, and also maybe like a Undead Executioner, so 3 and a black. It's a 2/2. I only just suggest it because it's got an effect when it dies, which again is a lot of what the deck's trying to do. Like have it matter when creatures die. So this dies off and it gives something -2/2, potentially gets another kill. Get another death trigger off it, I suppose. So yeah, I think that could have been here. But yeah, I say overall, sort of cover my thoughts there, and I think it's done like a pretty good job in with the sort of limited card pool available to make like I think a fairly solid like black red kind of sacrifice death matters deck. So yeah, I think it's actually fairly solid. I wasn't really expecting much from it at all. But what are your thoughts on the deck after seeing it? If you have any thoughts or stories or comments or opinions on the deck, please stick a comment below. Always love reading people's comments. But I'll be back next time. Go look at the last Avacyn Restored deck. But until then, thanks for watching and listening. Have a great day.